Welcome everyone. It's nice to be here. I hope everyone's having a good day, whether that's morning, afternoon, or evening. My name's Tom Cross. I'm from MD5 in the UK, and I'm going to give a presentation to go through why it's important every digital examiner should see the data through the suspect's eyes. The main tool that we're going to show in this is VFC. It's a tool that MD5 has created in the last 17 years, and I'll go into a bit more depth as we go along. So if we go on to the next slide, just to give you a little bit of background information of my role and who I am. My name's Tom Cross. I'm the VFC Technical Manager here at MD5. And I deal with all the technical inquiries that come in regarding VFC, whether that's from a sales perspective as well as a technical perspective. I also aid the sales team, providing the demonstrations and everything like that. Some of you may already know who I am. I know there's going to be people who do know who I am and watching at the moment. Some of you may have never heard of me before, but I'm the person that you will come to if you need any technical help or anything like that. If you do want to get in touch, I'm the person that you'll want to get in contact with. So just to give you a little bit of background of MD5 as a company as well. We were founded in 2003, and we've been aiding law enforcement, government agencies and legal firms ever since that time, and we offer a wide range of digital forensic expertise and e-discovery and e-disclosure services as well. And we are now one of the leading UK companies to offer such services. Not only that, we are the creators of VFC as well, which will lead me nicely onto this slide. So as I've just mentioned, VFC has been built on 17 plus years of experience now. It's built on the principles and practices of digital forensics. The main one being it does not alter the original data, which you can see on that list there. It's easy to use as well, and it creates a virtual machine within minutes. The whole point in VFC is, and the whole reason it was created, is to create those virtual machines. So that was its original purpose. So it creates those within minutes. Once it's created one, it's going to be able to create it over and over again the exact same way. It's also got various password bypass features in there as well. So there's one which is the password bypass feature is what we call it. We've also got a generic password reset tool in there as well, which does something slightly different, but nevertheless, it is going to get around that password. We've also got a standalone VM functionality. I'll go into more depth in that a bit later on. But what that'll allow you to do is it will allow you to create a virtual machine that doesn't require the original image or drive present in order for that to work. So you'll be able to take that to court, view that without the original data present as well, which makes everyone's life a whole lot easier. Then going on to the next features there, VFC version 7 is going to be able to do, it is able to do single volume partition images. So similar to your logical images, that's just like a file system. VFC will be able to virtualize those, which helps with things such as BitLocker and Veracrypt. It's also got quite a powerful triage feature, which I'll show you in a moment. And also it's got a lovely inject files feature as well, which allows you to inject files into the virtual machine as it's being created. That not only allows you to use your other favorite tools, but it allows you to do that inside the virtual machine, which again, we don't want to alter any original data. So being able to do that inside a virtual machine, which is a sandbox environment cut off from the original data, can be quite useful as well. So going on to the next slide, we're going to base this demonstration around this case remit here to show you why it's the perfect tool for this sort of thing. And so we've got an unexploded bomb which was found at the London Eye. The bomb that was found contained dynamite as the primary explosive. The suspect is James Smith, and he's been under surveillance as we believe he's been engaging in terrorist activity. We've also got CCTV footage of Smith being in the place around the time the bomb was actually placed at the London Eye as well. We've been granted a warrant to attend Smith's home address to seize any devices. We actually found a laptop there, and it was switched off. We've also got intel on another suspect that may have been in contact with Smith via that email address there, which is whooper321 at outlook.com. We've also got some tweets there from James too, which can help us provenance the case if once we find information inside that virtual machine. First things first, we need to decide what tools we're going to take on site with us. So you can see on the screen there, VFC Portable. That's the first thing I'd like to discuss with this. VFC works in two different ways. So we've got VFC Portable and we've got VFC Lab. The functionality of both softwares is pretty much exactly the same, except the portable version naturally can be used in a portable environment. The physical components to that are number one, which is the VFC dongle. This is the activation key, and this is required to make sure that VFC will work, essentially. We've also then got number two, which is the portable VFC license, the OS on there. This contains the application and potentially other tools as well, depending on what you want to take on scene with you. Whether you're a digital forensic investigator, cybersecurity investigator, or incident response investigator, the tools will differ naturally. So you can put essentially whatever you want onto that bootable OS. We've got number three there, which is just an external HDD. That's there in case you want to create what's called a standalone virtual machine, or if you want to take any evidence that you find using VFC, you can just save that to that HDD. And we've also got a USB hub extender there, because we're going to need to be able to plug these devices into the original device. And then, of course, the other physical component is the original device. You can see straight away, one of the first things you'll notice is that there's not a great deal there to actually take with us. So in terms of putting this in like a field kit, something like that, it's going to be quite transportable and it's just really compact. If you need to quickly triage something or quickly get access to a device like this, you could simply just use these and you'll be able to get into it. You're not going to need to take a lot with you. It's the perfect tool. Now, in terms of actually being able to boot into this operating system, the VFC Portable operating system, you will need to open the laptop up, or if it's a computer, you'll need to plug these devices into it. Then we're going to boot into the BIOS and make sure that we change the boot order to boot to USB only. That's quite important. Again, we don't want to change any of the original data on the original device or drive. So we need to make sure we boot to USB only. If it's got a TPM chip on it, you can simply just switch that off. I've had no issues with it before. It's not guaranteed to get through that. But on all the devices I've checked before, and when I've visited our customers and we've done testing here, I've had no issue getting around a TPM device. It just does come with that caveat that it's not guaranteed to work, but it is an option to switch that off. Once we've done that, we can just press enter and boot into that portable environment. And then what we can do then is access the desktop. So if I just come out of this for a moment, all being well, you can now see my screen. If I just come out of this, so you can now see my desktop. For the purposes of this is just my desktop. However, it will look pretty much exactly the same in the portable environment. It's got a Windows to Go operating system on there. So you'll be able to have the VFC application installed, as you can see here. We've got VMware installed on there as well. Now, VMware Workstation Player is free for law enforcement, so there's no need to worry about having to purchase any extra licenses or anything like that. We've also got VFC Mount on there too, which comes as standard with VFC. VFC works with the original drive or a forensic image, and so we've got our own built-in mounting tool, so you can mount those forensic images. And we've also got folders on here as well. We've got imaging tools, we've got RAM capture tools, and we've got other tools. What those tools can be is completely up to you. Like I said before, whether you're an incident response investigator, cybersecurity investigator, or digital forensic investigator, those tools are going to differ. But you can inject what you require into the virtual machine and do the analysis from inside there. One of the fundamental principles of digital forensics is not to change that original data, and I'm going to keep referencing that. Doing things inside that virtual machine prevents even being close to changing the original data, but still getting the most out of the investigation as well. So now we've got that information there, it's time to actually see what we can find on this original device. So casting our minds back to the case remit, we've got the information, we've received the intel, and now we're on scene. We've seized the laptop that's switched off. We're going to boot up the process, get into VFC, so we can start doing the analysis and triage work actually on scene. So first things first, what we need to do is we need to go into this this options tab here to make sure that we've got all the correct settings selected. But while I'm in here, I'd quite like to show you a few features, a few wow features of VFC. So the first one being VFC's capability to do single volume partition images. It's very straightforward how that works. I know I've mentioned that before, but you'd simply just have this box ticked here, and VFC is then going to be able to virtualize those images. If you've got a decrypted DD image, for example, VFC will be able to virtualize that and allow you to be in that environment just like the original user would have been. We've also got the ability to inject our own generic password reset tool. How that differs to the other password tools, which I'll show you in a moment, is that you can use it to reset the password. And I'll show you a bit further on what that looks like as well. But if you do reset a password, you're able to go into something like the Chrome history and see if there's any safe passwords in there. Because we've reset the password inside that virtual machine, you'll be able to type that password in and potentially view those passwords inside the safe password area. It's not just passwords now. That part of Chrome, for example, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So you potentially have access to card information, addresses, crypto wallets, things like that. You've got all the potential there to access that sort of information too. We have got a nice feature here as well that'll allow you to convert online accounts to local accounts and remove the password as it's being created. Naturally, when you're on scene, if you need to get into a device, the suspect, in this case, James, was quite difficult and he wouldn't give us the password to get into his user accounts. That's not a problem for VFC. VFC will be able to remove those, no issues whatsoever, and get you straight into that user account. We've also got the ability to disable Windows S mode. If you haven't come across that before, it's like a Chromebook OS where you can only download Microsoft software applications, things like that. So when it comes to actually doing investigation work on there, you wouldn't be able to use our password tools, for example, because it wouldn't be downloadable on that virtual machine. With the ability to disable S mode, we're able to use the password tools. You're able to inject whatever tools you want inside that virtual machine and just start using them. If something does go wrong with doing your analysis work inside the VM, it's not a problem. We can just start again, close that virtual machine down, create a new one. You'll see just how quick it is at VFC is at creating these virtual machines, that if something does go wrong, it really is not a problem. And then that leads me on to that file injection feature. This is very straightforward. You'll have folders created with your favorite suite of tools in there. And you simply just press these three dots here, select the file, make sure that box is populated with that file, and click OK on there. Once those settings have been checked, it's time to make sure that VFC's write blocking capabilities are selected. Again, going back to that a fundamental principle of making sure the original data isn't being touched. VFC's got its own write blocking capabilities built into it for the portable edition. So we've got those ticked there. If they're not ticked, we'll need to tick those, close VFC down, reopen it back up, check again, and they will be ticked. If it's not read-only, you're at risk of changing something on that original drive, and we don't want that to happen. And so we've made sure all our settings are correct. It's then a case of hitting this refresh button here, going into the drop-down box. Now you can see I'm using a mounted image, naturally on scene. This will be the original drive, but because this is a live demonstration over the internet, I can't really do that at the moment. And so we're just going to pretend for a second, and we're going to select that drive there. VFC is now pulling all the information through from that. It's reading that, and it's going to start finding the partitions, starting to look for all that information. This takes around 15 seconds to do. Then we'll select the partition, and then it's going to take another 15 seconds, 20 seconds to start analyzing that partition, and it'll be able to bring some triage information through for you. You'll see just how quick it pulls that through as well. If you could imagine yourself being on scene and being able to get this information as quickly as possible to aid with the investigation, it's a no-brainer to have this sort of tool as part of your toolkit. So you can see now it's analysed the drive, and it's presented us with some partitions here from this drop-down box. I normally recommend going for the largest one and working my way down. If you select the wrong one, you can't break VFC. It'll just tell you it can't find an operating system. Please try a different partition. So I'm going to select the largest one there. And like I say, VFC is going to do all its 17 plus years of experience and development to triage this device and get it ready to create a virtual machine as well. So when that does eventually pop up in around 10, 15 seconds time, I'm going to show you what information we can find that's important for this case. We'll have information such as the last boot time come up, the last use date, the last user logged on, and that's going to pop up on that right-hand side for you. As you can see, there we go. So first thing that I like to look at is it was last booted on this date, which for the purposes of this, that was within these dates here and times here are within the date range of the bomb being found, so within the investigation period. If those dates don't correlate with the correlate, yeah, that's the right word, with the date of the investigation, that can be used to prioritize the workload. So let's say you go on scene and there are many computer devices there. The last thing you want to do is focus your efforts on devices that potentially aren't going to be of interest of the investigation. We found out within 30 seconds that this is probably the main device that we need to look at, and we can get into it straight away. That doesn't necessarily mean we don't want to go through the other devices. It means that we can just prioritize that workload. So not only are we triaging from a perspective of finding information, but we're triaging from a perspective of what do we actually need to go into first as well. So we've got this information here. We can see the last user logged on as well is James Smith. Perfect, that's our suspect. So we've got that information. And then during the same time that is this information is found, a triage log is created by VFC2. So this is our VFC triage feature. Not only do you get all the information on that main page displayed here, but we get so much more than that. So per user account, we're going to have access to recently accessed documents, recent URLs, web history, Windows history, sorry, Chrome history, Windows links, and that's, like I say, per user account. So we've got James Smith here, which we know is the last user logged on, and he's our suspect. So we can start looking through the recently accessed files here. So I'm just going to start pointing out ones of interest, which then we can have a look for inside the virtual machine. So you can see here we've got a suppressed Glock gun there, and if you know your file types, a quick Google, 30-second Google will tell you that that's a 3D printer file type there. Going a bit further down, we've got BitLocker recovery keys that are saved on the desktop, so we've actually got that file location, which I'll be able to go in and show you what they are. Going a bit further down as well, we've got here an anarchist cookbook saved in the pictures as a PDF. We've got screenshots there. We don't know what that is at the moment, but it's a recently accessed file, so we can access that, and we've got the location. Going further down, we've got a BOM PDF here. So we're starting to find information pretty quickly. We're a minute into the investigation here, and we're finding this information so quickly. Yes, it's giving you the information, but what we can do with this as well is save a copy of this triage log, pass this on to the lab team if it's a different team. In the UK, we've got digital forensic teams that also do the lab work as well, the on-scene work as well. But we've got other forces that have different teams for both. That's not a problem. If you, can I enlarge the image at all? Apologies. Let me see if I can do that. We've got the triage log up close. Hopefully you can see that a little bit better. Let me go into that a second. So hopefully you can see this a little bit better now. What we've got is, sorry, this is a slightly different one, but nonetheless, it's still giving us the information. So you can see the BOM PDF there. We've got the BitLocker recovery keys. We've got the suppressed Glock as the 3D printer image. We've also got a street map of London. Yes, that says Victorian, but we're going to treat that as a current one. So that links to the location that the bomb was found in. We've also got recently accessed applications there, and you can see Brave is at the top of that list. So what I'm going to do once I'm inside that virtual machine, that's the first application that I'm going to have a look at. You can have a look here as well. We've got a Binance setup executable in download. So we've got all this information here that's going to aid the investigation straight off the bat, and we found it within a minute. So if I come out of that and just close that a second. So now we've got that information, it's time to make that new virtual machine. So what we've done is we've saved a copy of that. It's a case of just hitting save as, save it as a test, and now that has been saved. So we click make new virtual machine, and we'll put that into a new folder. You'll save this as like a case reference, something like that. And then it's now creating that virtual machine. And this should take around 30 seconds to actually create this. Now, if you were to do this by hand, it could take you hours. And even then, you've got the human error aspect that creeps into it. As good as we are as humans, it is a factor that has to be considered. VFC's, like I say, got that 17 years of experience built into it. So we don't need to worry about that human aspect. VFC knows what it's doing. And you can see that that's nearly generated that virtual machine now. It should be done in around 10 seconds time. And while that is loading up, I'll come into this and I will resume this virtual machine. And now I've resumed it, you can see that that virtual machine in the background is ready to launch. So I'll just click launch later on that one and show you the virtual machine. Hopefully you all can see that. And the first thing that piques my interest is, and referring back to the presentation, is these tweets here. You can see the icon of that. I'm just going to make that bigger so you can see it a bit more clearly. The icon here, the profile picture, is that red fist that you can see inside the virtual machine. That is James Smith's favorite band, and we found that information out by going into the virtual machine, having a look at his lock screen and everything like that. What I'll be doing is I'll be screenshotting that for provenance to be like, okay, he may turn around and say this device isn't his. We're finding information already just booted into it to link that device to him. Like I mentioned, the first thing I want to go into is Brave browser. So I can see Brave browser here. It's the same icon in the bottom. So I'm going to click on that and wait for that to load up. I need to make sure I don't click it too many times and get impatient with it. But while that's loading up, you can see we've got the BOM PDF there. We've got the BitLocker recovery key there as well. So those are going to be things that I'm going to go into afterwards and have a look at those, take screenshots of those. Being able to see the evidence in this format is invaluable for all parties involved. So going on to scene, having a look at it straight away, how the suspect would have been able to view it, taking it into the lab as well. The standalone virtual machine feature is very, very simple to use. So while that is opening up, if I take you back to this interface here and go into the standalone VM, once you've created a virtual machine, you're able to create the standalone copy. Like I say, it doesn't need the original image present at all for that to work. You would just need something like VirtualBox or VMware, and you'll be able to boot that up. So if you create one of those on scene, bring that back to the lab, while the original device is being imaged, again, that's a fundamental. We need to image it and preserve that data. We can start doing the analysis work inside that standalone VM. There's no consequence to doing that. The original data is protected and everything like that. And it's a case of selecting the virtual machine that you've created, populating this box, selecting that target, and let it work its magic and create that for you. So we've got back to the lab, we've handed that standalone virtual machine over, we've handed the triage log over, we're inside that virtual machine now with the passwords bypassed. Very straightforward. We're now into the Brave browser. If we go into the history, you can have a look at recently closed. There's 14 tabs. We're going to have a look at what those tabs are. So you can see it's actually opened up 2 here. So we'll minimize that one. It's going to start showing us the tabs. I'm getting trigger happy again. Apologies for that. Let's go back into this. So we want to potentially look for, is he searching for things that can be used to create the bomb? We need to look for that anarchist cookbook as well. So if we see here, yes, it's not loading up, but we've got this person searching for nitroglycerin. That's potentially something to go towards the evidence side of things. So we'll take a screenshot of that. We'll put that in our report. We'll go on to the other tabs here as well. Oh, okay. So now we're in this. We can see this person's tried to download the anarchist cookbook. We can keep going further across. We've got Brave browser map of London there. So this person, again, looking for the location. We'll take a screenshot of that. It's important to note there's no internet connection as standard for the virtual machines. If you have permission to do so, you can connect it to a network, but we don't want to boot that up with a network, so it's completely cut off from the outside world. We're going to now go further into the settings. If I stop being trigger happy and let it do its thing. While Brave browser's having a little bit of a paddy, we'll go into something else and hopefully it'll work for us a little bit later on. So we'll go into the BitLocker recovery key here. We'll right click into that as well. We can see when it was created to see if it's a recent thing. While it is loading, you could also have a look to see if there's any databases or anything on there. You can actually open up the databases. The beauty of VFC as well is that you can put the time to any point in the past. So if a database has a license period, that doesn't matter. You'll be able to use VFC, put the time back and use that application, that software within its license period. You can see we've got the Tor browser on there. Now, normally that would be something that I'd go into straight away because that's linked with wrongdoing. So we've got all that information there. Now, there are a few ways in which we can speed up the virtual machine as well. So if it is the portable version that you're using, the beauty of that is that you're able to actually utilize absolutely everything inside that original device. So let's say, for example, it is a gaming rig. Chances are it's not going to be able to run correctly with 2 GB of RAM and 1 processor, which is what VFC's virtual machines are created as standard with. Very straightforward on how to sort that out. You'll be able to use the Modify Hardware tab here, select the virtual machine you've created, open it up. You can see here we've got actually 8 GB of RAM is being used for this one because I've changed the settings on it a tiny bit to make sure it runs a bit better. And we can also increase the processors if we want to as well. Once we've done that, we can hit save and we'll be able to access those no problem. It looks like it's starting to do something for me now. So we'll just let that load up. You can always guarantee on internet connections and slow working when something's going live. So we'll just let that load up again. And I shall take you back to the PowerPoint for a moment and show you our generic password reset tool. Right to the end. Here we are. So this is injected every single time into the virtual machine as standard. The joys of live demos, yeah, naturally, it happens. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things. But there's so much we can go into anyway, so it's not a problem. You can see here we've got the generic password reset tool. Like I say, that's injected every single time as standard with when a virtual machine is created. It's a very straightforward tool to use. If you don't wish to remove the password as it's been created, you'll be able to have access to this when you get into that virtual machine anyway. How this works is you can see there, number one, list local user accounts. So we'd press one on there and it'd list everything that we saw on that initial VFC page. We'd find James Smith there. We'd be able to then press number two, which is reset local user account. We'd type in James Smith, change the password. I normally change it to 123456, but you could change it to the case reference, anything that you can remember essentially. Once you hit enter on that, that'll be the new password then that you'll use to get into that user account. Like I said at the beginning, you can use that to start viewing any safe passwords potentially, or if there's any documents that are protected by the user account password too, you'll be able to have access to those. And the password tools can also bypass some administration level passwords too. So if you reset those passwords using that and you need an administrative password to start opening up certain documents, you'll have a different password. You'll have a password to type in for that as well. So if we come out of that, hopefully the virtual machine likes me now. And so you can see here that we don't actually have access to passwords within the Brave browser, but we can have a look at the Downloads tab. Apologies for this being really slow. It's been working for me completely fine all day, but you can guarantee something going wrong. So we can go into the Downloads tab here. You can see that the Anarchist Cookbook is there. You can see we've got the street map of London too, and we've also got the Binance set up. But if we then go into the history, so we can take screenshots of that, go into the history. We'll give it a couple of seconds. It's because I'm asking it to do too much. It doesn't like me so much at the moment. You can see there we've got the Anarchist Cookbook. Bit further down, we've got a product search. Now, I'm actually going to locate the Anarchist Cookbook because I've been looking at this for a long time now. I know in that cookbook, there is this company and this person's looked for this company. I'll be able to show you all these screenshots as well in a report and show you how easy it is to put these screenshots in a report too. But we can go further down. We can see nitroglycerin there, that this person's tried to search that, and because he's put it in Amazon, it'd be a reasonable assumption to say that this person is trying to buy this or check the price, something like that. But you can see here we've got where to buy nitroglycerin with cryptocurrency as well. This person's actively gone to find this ingredient, which, lo and behold, is the main ingredient of the bomb that was found at the London Eye. And so we'll come out of that now. You can see we're into the BitLocker keys as well. Now, this could be for an external drive. I don't know if you noticed, but on this list here, we actually have a lot of connected drives that have been connected to this original device. So that could be a BitLocker recovery for that recovery key for that, but that's something of interest, and we'd take screenshots of that as well. We'll come out of that. We can now go through the Avast browser. We can restore the pages if we want to restore the pages. I'm just going to come out of that for a moment. We can go into CCleaner. Again, the beauty of using the virtual machine is you're using that specific version of CCleaner. You can go to see what's been set to be cleaned from this device as well. What scheduling has got on there. If he turned around and said, well, this isn't me, I haven't been using this. A virus may have put this on there. you can go into CCleaner and see, well, actually, you've got this scheduled to clean 2 times a day. There's nothing in quarantine on there. We could use the Avast antivirus software, see if anything's in quarantine in that too. You can also see on there when the last clean took place. Chances are it's probably going to say the day it was last used, because that's just what he's set up to do. If we cast our minds back again to the case remit, we saw that it could potentially be engaging in conversation with another known suspect using an email of whooper321@outlook.com. We've opened up the emails. We don't have access to the internet, the network, but we do have access to the last viewed emails that they would have been able to view on the last time they used this device, the last time they were connected to that network. So you can see here, we've got all this, we've got him asking him a question, will you be able to help? No questions asked. And we've actually got the conversation that's happened within the time frame. So we've got all that information there. What we're going to do at this point is take those screenshots and we're going to put them straight into the report. So I shall open up the report. Hopefully you can see this now. This has been put together by the head of our digital forensic department, Chris. Obviously, it's not in as much depth as what it would be, because we're just going to scan through it and I'm going to show you what we've put in this report. This took Chris around 2 minutes to put together. But that shows you the power of being able to get the information from VFC. I didn't tell Chris what I put into this virtual machine at all. I just gave him the case remit and let him do what he does best, is find information as quickly as possible to get it into the report and have that displayed as easily as what VFC's displayed it. So going down this report, we've taken images of the laptop. We say we've reviewed it using VFC. This is where it gets interesting. The following information from this whole page has been pulled from that triage log. So casting our minds back to how quickly it actually pulled that information, through, it took no longer than 30 seconds to get that. And then we've got enough in there to put this in our report. So we've got the guest operating system on there. We've got the install date, the last boot time, etc. We used the triage log to see, okay, well, these are the recently accessed applications. Further down in the VFC triage list, the ones that Chris has identified as important ones are the Anarchist Cookbook and the Binance setup. Further down, it starts with the screenshots. You've got your provenance straight away. We can link this to James Smith. Rage Against the Machine, we've found is his favorite band. We've linked that to his Twitter page as well. Further down, when Chris actually did these screenshots as well, the browser opened up with the Anarchist Cookbook. So you can see that there. That was, if I went into the history and opened up another recently accessed 2 tabs, that's what will have popped up. So you can see the Anarchist Cookbook there. Scrolling further down, we've got that this person's actually James has actually downloaded the cookbook. We've highlighted that even further. And further down, we've gone through the history, taken screenshots of that. You've got the Anarchist Cookbook there. So look at how easy it is to display this information and take those screenshots. How Chris did this, he just used the snippet function within Windows. You just tab that open, take your screenshots, copy and paste that, put that into your report. Like I say, this took him no longer than 5 minutes to put together. We've gone through the cookbook. We've actually found the pages that link to creating that bomb. They were opened up, so he's had a look at those. He's got the Binance. He's got all this information here, and he's got that all from VFC. So coming out of that, what we do then is to send it to court. We've got that report. We've got a standalone virtual machine that can be opened up, and we can also send the full triage log as well. One last thing that I'd like to say is that before the 4 years I've spent here at MD5, I wasn't involved in the digital forensic industry at all, but the first question I got asked was, what's a jump list? I had no clue. But the next thing that was asked was, can you tell me what this is? if my own machine would cooperate. So what is this? I can easily go and explain what that is without actually knowing that's a jump list. And the same can be done for a judge or a jury in court as well. The power of the actual visual side of things is so much more than what people would first assume. So that is the end of my demonstration. I'm going to leave the virtual machine open there and VFC there, and I will ask everyone if there are any questions. So first question, this looks really great. Thanks for the demo. Details on how this and details on how it. Is there any way to get a demo trial license of VFC or a free edition like VFC mount? So if you want to get in touch with us, can you still see me? Are we all here? Was there a dip in connection?
We can still see you, Tom, but I think your screen share went away.
So. All right. Yeah. No, I've turned that off now. I'll turn the screen share back on if there's a question regarding VFC. I've just turned it off just so we can discuss these questions. That's all. So if you want to get in touch with us regarding a demo, we can certainly discuss that and see what how we move forward with that. Again, on top of that, if you want to get in touch with us to go into something in more depth, like if you want to go into more depth inside that virtual machine, please let us know. More than happy to do that. Or if you want to go through a certain feature in more depth, let me know on that one too. Probably a bit early in the webinar to ask, but does this only work on Chromebook or is it Windows? But will this work on Chromebook or is it Windows only? I'll get back to you on that one. I need to have a quick word with our developer about that. I shall share my screen again. If you just bear with me 1 second, apologies. I should probably keep it on. So I'll open this up. I'll show you what operating system it is capable of virtualizing. So on there, you've got Windows, Linux, Sun Solaris, and the one at the bottom there, which if you want to discuss that, give me a call afterwards or drop me an email. But in terms of Windows, it's capable of virtualizing all Windows operating systems, right up to Server 22, which people are shocked about because people just assume that the latest one's Windows 11. But as soon as a Windows operating system comes out, we'll start working on the patch to get that in VFC and get that in as quickly as possible. So we're constantly keeping that up to date for you. Is there any more questions? If you take a look at an email that has not previously been opened by the account holder, does it open the email or leave a log that the email has been opened with the time within the system logs, etc.? So because there's no network connection, it won't open that email. If you add a network connection to that virtual machine, it will read that email. So as long as there's no network connection, there won't be an issue. If you come out of that virtual machine and close it down and create a new one, once you get back into it, it'll be like you've never done that before. Is there another question? So like I say, just to reiterate that point, whatever you do in that inside that virtual machine, as long as you don't create a network connection for it, and it's not a case of that you can accidentally give it a network connection, please don't think that that's something that can happen. Nothing of the original is going to be changed. So for example, I know on a phone, if there's no internet connection on a phone, you can load Facebook up and it'll give you the last viewed on the timeline. The same sort of principle applies in the virtual machine of that, whatever you do in there. So I'll try and go back into it now and just show you this. Let's see if it likes me. Oh, it's not enjoying me today. But I could go in there, and if I showed you the recently accessed files now, you'd see that the ones that I've opened inside that virtual machine are now the most recently accessed ones. But then if I close this virtual machine down and create a new one, they aren't going to be the recently accessed files anymore. It's going to be like it was when it was last used. Are there any more questions? If not, like I say, if any other questions do come up, if you want to get in touch with me on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find me via the MD5 page. Or if you want to get in touch with me, I believe my email is distributed along with this webinar as part of the marketing for it. If you just want to drop me an email over, I'm more than happy to help you out. If not, I believe I can actually type it in here and let you take that down. md5.uk.com. md5.uk.com. Send that. There you go. So if you want to take that down and get in touch with me, no questions, a silly question. I've asked so many in my time, so please don't worry about that. And if there's no more questions, thank you so much for your time today. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and hopefully speak to you all soon.
Hey, Tom, we had one more question come in. I'll bring it up.
Perfect. Love to see it. So VFC mount is just solely a mounting tool. So if I come out of this, so it is just like a bog standard mounting tool. So this itself is the mounting tool. So the version of VFC that does create the virtual machines, etc., is what creates the virtual machine. VFC mount will simply mount a forensic image for you. I'm sorry if there was any confusion on my end from that. But like I say, if you do want a demo of a demo license or something like that, please get in touch with us. We can have a conversation, see if we can get that sorted for you. And hopefully then further down the line, you'll enjoy using VFC yourself. Is there any more questions? I think there's something in chat. Like I say, if that's it, I wish you all a fantastic rest of your day. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you, everyone else. I shall stop sharing my screen now. I'll be completely honest. I don't know what to do at this point.
You're good. Thank you so much, Tom. We'll go ahead and wrap up. Everybody, thanks for attending. Tom, thanks for a great presentation. And everybody, enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.